Okay, imagine for just a second that you're a highly advanced cosmic radio. Right now, literally in this very second, you are receiving 7 completely different stations at the exact same time. The signals are flowing right through you, loud and clear, but, well, there's a catch, right? You've only got the volume turned up on one of them. Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into a truly profound framework known as the Enochian Matrix, specifically its architecture of the 7 densities. We're going to unpack this wild, radical idea that you don't just live in a physical world. You actually exist in 7 distinct realities all simultaneously. Our goal today? To map out these overlapping realities and figure out how we can actually start tuning our dials to hear the full cosmic broadcast. Now, I know the concept of the forgetting sounds a bit like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but the Enochian Matrix describes this as our default structural condition. It explains exactly why we usually only hear that one radio station. See, as human beings walking around in a physical body, we naturally and almost entirely identify with the densest, most material layers of our reality. We get totally wrapped up in what we can see, what we can touch, what we can measure. And in the process, we completely lose conscious access to our true, multi-density nature. So think of this explainer as kind of like a user manual for your internal radio. We're going to use these realities as a map to help you tune your dials, break right through the forgetting, and actually remember your true function as the ultimate cosmic antenna.
Section 1. The Human Cosmic Bridge, Tuning the Frequencies.
Okay, let's dive into this. To figure out how we break through the forgetting, we first have to understand what we're actually made of. The Enochian Matrix offers a map of reality that completely flips our standard three-dimensional thinking on its head. It maps reality not as physical layers stacked on top of each other, like floors in an office building, but as nested, interpenetrating frequencies. They are literally everywhere, all at once. And here is where it gets absolutely fascinating. These frequencies are only accessible to the specific quality of consciousness that is calibrated to receive them. Basically, you have to match the frequency to experience the reality. This whole dial of the 7 densities maps out the void's expression, going from the absolute highest abstraction all the way down to physical specificity. We range from pure information down to pure energy, then the archetypal mind, the living pattern, individuation, pure consciousness, and eventually, the return. Now, why does this matter to you? Because within this massive cosmological context, the human being serves a uniquely special function. You are the bridge. Humans are literally the only known class of being that serves the purpose of inhabiting all 7 of these densities simultaneously. You are the conduit.
Section 2. The Foundational Frequencies, the Base Frequencies.
Let's start from the ground up and explore the foundational frequencies of our existence. I want you to just slow down for a second, take a breath, and let your awareness settle as we look at the deepest, calmest layers of our physical and energetic makeup. These base frequencies are the absolute bedrock that all of our everyday reality is built on, an absolute luminous stillness that feels intensely present. That perfectly captures the first density. This is the realm of pure information. You can think of it like the Akashic layer, a universal library of code. It's the pure mathematical pattern of reality that exists way before any physical form even starts to take shape. It's the blueprint before the building is built. When esoteric practitioners tap into this first density, they don't get a chaotic swirl of data. They experience this profound, luminous stillness. And within you, this first density is the absolute deepest structural foundation of your physical body. It is literally the silent code keeping you together. So as we turn the dial just slightly upward, we enter the second density. This is pure energy. We are still at a level right before energy organizes into stable, recognizable forms. It's pre-particle vibration. If the first density is the silent blueprint, while the second density is the raw electricity waiting to flow right into it. Experientially, you might actually feel this if you've ever done deep meditation. It's often felt internally as this undifferentiated aliveness, maybe a gentle buzzing in your hands, or this subtle radiating warmth throughout your core. It's kind of like the hum of a car engine right before you put it into gear.
Section 3. Architectures of Form, Building the Soul.
All right, let's shift gears and speed things up a bit. We're moving out of those raw, abstract base frequencies and jumping into the middle frequencies. This is where the architectures of form really come into play. It's where that raw, buzzing energy actually starts organizing itself into the complex, lived reality that you and I experience every single day. We are essentially building the architecture of the soul here. Let's see how this builds, step by step. First up, we have the third density, the archetypal mind. This is where raw energy forms into stable structural templates. If you've ever had one of those vivid mythological dreams or experienced what Carl Jung called the collective unconscious, you are totally tapping into the third density. Next, the dial tunes to the fourth density, the living pattern or etheric body. This is where those archetypes get hit with actual animating life force. It's the electricity that turns inert chemistry into a living, breathing organism, using architectures like your chakras and meridians. And finally, we hit the fifth density, the astral realm of individuation. This is your emotional soul body. This is where you feel, where you desire, and where your totally unique identity takes shape.
So the crucial point to remember here is this. Maintaining fourth density health is the absolute strict prerequisite for all higher density esoteric work. You see, in our rush to reach enlightenment or connect with the cosmos, we often try to just skip over the basics. But the Enochian matrix makes it crystal clear. You simply cannot bypass your physical life force. Your etheric body, your daily health, your energy levels, this fourth density foundation is the actual engine powering all of your spiritual exploration. If your engine is broken, you're not driving to the higher realms. Period.
Now, assuming your engine is running well, you arrive at the fifth density, the astral domain. And you know what I absolutely love about this? It's how the Enochian matrix views our emotions. A lot of spiritual traditions teach you to suppress your desires, right? To transcend your feelings or quiet the emotional waves. Well, the Enochian matrix completely flips the script on that. It champions fifth density feelings and desires as the soul's primary navigational instrument. Your feelings are literally the tools your soul uses to read the matrix and make choices. It's also the level where your soul maintains its persistent, unique identity across multiple lifetimes. So your emotions aren't obstacles in your way, they are actually your compass.
Section 4. Navigating the higher densities, the observer and the void.
Now we're preparing to dial into the absolute highest, most abstract frequencies on this map. We're transitioning out of the personal realms of body and emotion and stepping into the vast, expansive domains of the observer and the void. This is where consciousness becomes incredibly pure, totally untethered from our daily human drama. We arrive at the sixth density, the realm of pure consciousness. You can kind of think of this as the ego body or the pure I am principle. It is the ultimate witness. In the sixth density, there's this pure, undivided self-recognition that just watches. It observes the thoughts, the feelings, the physical sensations of all the lower densities we just talked about, but it does so without ever being captured or overwhelmed by them. Interestingly enough, this is the exact frequency where higher intelligences operate, not as winged angels, but as these vast fields of pure witnessing consciousness.
And finally, we reach the very peak of the dial. Seventh density is the horizon where individuated consciousness becomes fully transparent to the void. This is the return. Now, it is absolutely vital to understand that this isn't about the erasure or destruction of your individual self. No way. Instead, it's the ultimate realization. It is the profound recognition that you have always been the void, simply expressing itself in your specific physical form. The Enochian matrix views this seventh density not as some permanent destination you just check off a list in a single lifetime, but more like a pole star, an orienting direction that guides the entire course of your cosmic evolution.
Section 5. Grounding and Spiritual Crisis. The Glitch in the Matrix.
But hey, let's bring this all back down to Earth for a second, because having access to a 7-channel cosmic radio isn't always smooth sailing. What actually happens when these dials get stuck, or when the frequencies mismatch? Well, it's time for a quick note of caution as we explore the glitches in the matrix, specifically the realities of grounding and spiritual crisis. And this brilliantly illustrates what the Enochian matrix identifies as the most common form of spiritual crisis: density mismatch. Look at the first scenario. This is what happens when someone is entirely overwhelmed by the emotional turbulence of the fifth density, but they completely lack that stabilizing, witnessing anchor of the sixth density. They're just lost in the storm. Now consider the flip side. This is the practitioner who frequently spaces out into the absolute bliss of the sixth density witness, but completely neglects their physical body and life force down in the first and fourth densities. The framework warns us strongly here. An inability to handle everyday physical existence is a navigational failure. Escaping reality, that is not a spiritual achievement.
So what's the actual cure for this kind of spiritual crisis? Honestly, it's looking right down at our very own feet. Grounding. The Enochian matrix heavily emphasizes grounding as the ultimate completion of our human bridge function. Grounding deliberately forces your awareness back into the first and fourth densities, bringing you right back into the physical body and your animating life force. It takes all those lofty, high-density insights from the astral and consciousness realms and anchors them firmly into the specific, physical reality of the present moment. After all, you can't be a bridge if one side of you isn't touching the ground, right?
Which brings us to the core thesis of this entire framework. Traversing the seven densities is not a journey to a new spiritual destination, but the systematic dismantling of the forgetting. We are trying to climb some ladder to escape the physical world and go live forever in the void. No, the actual goal of human development is to widen our bandwidth. It's to consciously inhabit all seven layers at once, allowing the sheer vastness of the universe to recognize itself through the incredibly precise, beautiful instrument of your daily human life.
Which leaves us with the most important takeaway of all. As you go about your day today, as you literally feel the solid ground beneath your feet, as you experience the rush of your emotions, as you witness your own thoughts, I want you to ask yourself this lingering, profound question. Which frequencies are you tuned into right now? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.